Equipe A. I'm Victor.
I'm Renee.
I'm Catherine.
And I'm Olivia.
And we're going to present our business strategy for the Link simulation. Our business strategy was to be a low-cost company, so cutting price to gain market share. We were not focusing on customer satisfaction or quality of the products. Our mission statement is price and quantity above all. So to implement our strategy, the first decision we take was that our products will be functional products, cheap functional products. We had two products, product one, which is the hyperware, and product two, the metaware. The product can vary in the market based on the configurations. So let's begin with the raw materials and the sub-assembly components. We just sourced our raw materials and sub-assembly components from the cheapest suppliers, with at least a 70% delivery rate. We had no consideration for building relationship with the suppliers. We are just taking the cheapest one each month. For the network design, pretty early, we just dropped region 2. We focused on region 1 and 3 with only ground transportation, as it's the cheapest way to transport our products. We focused on working with the cheapest transporters with at least a 75% delivery rate. And we had no consideration for relationship buildings. Again, we are just choosing the cheapest one every month. For demand generation, we focused on 3 points. The first one, marketing. We focused our marketing efforts on only the most successful region, region 3, and the most successful channel, which was channel 2, direct. We decreased our price. Product 1 went from $4.18 to $2.50, a 40% price decrease. Product 2 went from $4.33 to $3.70, a 14% decrease. Then we redesigned the product. We simplified it with a minimum bandwidth, little guarantee, high failure rates, low customer service, and low packaging.
In keeping with those strategies to cut costs, we also avoided investments in RFID technology as well as in IT synchronization. While we understood that this would potentially increase our reliability, again, our strategy throughout this entire simulation was to focus simply on cutting costs and getting the product to our consumers while it might not have been the most reliable product. We did, however, do 2 types of market research. One was procurement early in the beginning to help us sort of understand what our competitors were doing. And then the other one was price sensitivity analysis. And we did this when the first time we decided to decrease our costs to, again, try to get a little bit better market share because since our strategy was to cut costs. For forecasting, we forecasted on one single metric, which was sales. We forecasted based on the sales data that we would receive every month. We had minimal marketing-driven variability, and that was intentional. We didn't do any sort of promotions or anything like that. We weren't changing our prices to try to get more demand some months and none other months. We only had 2 times where we decreased price, and those were spread apart, so we didn't see a lot of that variability. And obviously, our forecasting was based on qualitative methods for this simulation. Forecasting was done first to then help us guide our sourcing decisions. And then we also had continuous monitoring and updating of our forecast as we proceeded through the simulation.
Next, we're going to be talking about the results of our simulation and specifically looking at customer metrics first. So for our customer metrics, we found that our average customer satisfaction rate was 20.69%. This is fairly low, but as we had already discussed, because we wanted to be the lowest cost product and company in the industry, we had to let go of customer satisfaction rate. And you can see this decrease over time throughout the simulation. And then you can also see the change in market share that we had. So we had 2 points where we dropped our prices significantly, and this was in month 8 and month 11. So you can see that right after those price decreases, our market share rose quite a bit. Our next metric that we'll be focusing on is operating metrics. And we found that we had a 97.27 average fill rate. And then we also had a 78.21% average forecasting accuracy. And we actually won one of the awards early on in the simulation for forecasting accuracy. And you can see over time that we were pretty close to the average on forecasting accuracy and were able to predict our demand fairly well. And then transportation expense. We started out the simulation not having the best transportation expense per unit, and we were at the industry worst. But then over time, we were able to cut our costs and ended up being the best by the end of the simulation. And then continuing on for our operating metrics, another operating metric is average inventory turnover, and we had an average of 3.8. And you can see that throughout the simulation, we started out with the average pretty much throughout, and then we started getting above average throughout towards the end of the simulation. And then a second operating metric is the average marketing and service to revenues. So at the beginning, we were pretty much like up with like the worst for the percentage, and then towards the end we started refocusing on our strategy, like we need to be the lowest cost. So then we started decreasing how much marketing spending we had for our products, and we ended up being the industry best through that analysis. And overall we did an average marketing and service to revenues percentage of 9.43. Our last metric that we'll be focusing on is financial metrics, and one of them would be the average net income to revenue percentage of 7.69%. And you can see in the graph below that for the most part we stayed pretty close to average. A couple of variations early on in the simulation, but towards the end we were able to be pretty close to the industry average, which was successful for us. And then we had a 19.07% average return on assets.
Alright, so looking into the future, we have some things that we would change. But first, some lessons learned. Forecasting first, then inputs. So making some important decisions based on the actual customer demand. Also making bigger decisions early so we can see the return in our investments like throughout the actual process of our entire decisions. And bigger decisions including things like postponement and procurement, because this will give us more time in the future to change these things if necessary. And also focusing on the strategy. So again, we wanted to be the lowest cost company in the industry, so choosing every single low cost company for our supply chain, but we found that we really had to be comfortable with having low customer satisfaction levels, even though we do have the lowest costs. And then what we would do in the future, so we would improve our forecasting. This way we can decrease variability, and by doing this we would also consider postponement. And again, we just want to continue meeting customer demand. Also cutting costs, so like we've been doing throughout, we just want to keep all of our costs very low so we can have low prices for our customers. And also network redesign, doing things like dropping channels based on trends, just cutting costs again based on where our demand is growing in the future.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.